Welcome to episode 9 of the Light Her Project podcast, Real Women.
Real talk.
I'm Rachel Strella.
And I'm Vixen Divine.
Thank you for tuning in today. Today's topic is how to recognize and stop toxic relationships. So, before we I should say, we're not addressing abuse here. These are strictly our opinions. So please don't take any of this as professional advice from a mental health professional. All right, we're going to dive right in. Normally we start with our personal lives, and we're going to do that plenty here. So we're going to actually start with questions. Question number 1. How do you know if a relationship is toxic? Are there red flags? All right, well, absolutely, there are. I could tell you about a handful of them. I mean, I could probably tell you 100, but I'll tell you a handful that I've noticed in the past. Okay. So one of them is when you catch somebody in a lie. Liars, that's a definite red flag. Another one is self-importance. Maybe some narcissism there, that elevated sense of self.
Yes, for sure.
Along that line, that reluctance to show support. It seems like they only care about what's in it for them. You may have also noticed they are overly critical or judgmental about you or people in your life. And then the final one for me is if you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells.
Oh, not comfortable.
Yes, you're not comfortable. There's just something there. So how do you, those are red flags, but how do I know it's toxic? I mean, that's a great question. Here's how I go. Like once you've seen a red flag, be on alert. I'm personally someone who can forgive a one-time red flag. Everybody has a bad day.
Okay.
If I see multiple flags, that's when I know it's toxic.
Okay. I'm not quite that forgiving.
I really wouldn't be.
For me, how I know if the relationship is toxic or not is, first of all, you have to recognize what is toxic for you. Because I have figured out that just because this person does something doesn't mean it happens to everyone. So because you can tolerate this and you're fine with it doesn't mean someone else is. So for them, it's not toxic. For you, it may be. Okay. So you have to recognize, first of all, what's toxic for you. So what's that problem? Is there a problem at all? And then there's the short and long-term negative effect. If there is a negative effect in what they ask you to do, then that's a problem. For instance, if you love to wear stiletto heels and you're dating someone who doesn't want you to wear those and you don't feel good about wearing flats, that's a problem because you're not being you. You can't be the real person and the other person together. In other words, you then have to become a fake person to coexist with this other person. If you can't be your authentic self with the other person, you have to, like you talk about eggshells, or change what you do to be around this person or hide your inner you. It may seem like very small at first, but it'll build and build, and it can build into resentment. It can build into, it builds into a number of things. So once you recognize what's toxic for you, some people, it won't bother them. They don't care. Oh, they got heels over there, but they don't care if they don't have to wear, if they don't wear them. So what is toxic for you? Once you find out what that boundary is, you got to stick to it, or else it's going to build and build and build. And then, like the volcano experiment in school.
And that is something women would do. Let it build and then blow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what I find.
Okay. Well, so, one question that arose was, have you ever lost a friendship, a partnership or a business relationship that you didn't realize was toxic at the time that we were in it, but you recognized it once they were no longer in your life? That's a great question. I
Mhm.
can say for me, on the business side, I remember several business relationships, and they're actually former team members. Um, those
Oh,
red flags that we described earlier were constant. But I kept thinking, I need these people. In retrospect, I think I was scared that if they left, I'd be dealing with a mess. And I will admit, when we parted ways, I did deal with a mess. But I was much better off for it, and so was my team, and so was my business. As far as friendships or relationships go, I mean, yes, absolutely there too. I think sometimes it's hard to see things for what they are sometimes when you're in the moment. We have these blinders on to the people that we think are friends or partners, and we don't want to believe there's an issue.
sometimes I feel like how that works out is in those types of relationships, your friendships, your partnerships, the friendships and things that you have on a daily basis like that. I feel like the best way to even realize it is that you don't. You have to listen to your friend who tells you, hey, you know what? Laura isn't right. There's something going on because you don't see it. You don't recognize it because, like you said, you're in this and it has to be from the outside looking in. And you're in at that moment and you haven't stepped back yet to see what's really going on. But someone else who's in your ear saying, hey, I see something. It's not that they necessarily are trying to break up your relationship or destroy you, but it's worth looking into. It's worth looking at that perspective. And then you'll know if someone is trying to break up your relationship or something, but you'll have a good view to look because sometimes we just can't, most of the time, actually, we can't see it. So it's not, you don't need to dismiss when someone is telling you that. You need to have those good friends to tell you that, but don't dismiss it. Look at it and see, and then judge from there. I mean, I'll tell you a story when my kid was young. There was this little boy down the street who would come up to play with my son. He'd never bring any toys. But he always played with my son toys. And he said that, his mom didn't let him bring his toys outside. So, but he played pretty hard with my son's toys. So as the mom on the outside looking in, because my son, he just had this friend, so he believed. In reality, this boy only wanted to play with his toys. But he couldn't see that because this is a friend, just this little boy's coming up to play with him and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Till I took the toys. I said, you know what? He's not going to be able to bring his toys out anymore either. So you guys can, play other things. He never came around again.
Go figure. Yeah.
Well, we have some other questions. Our next question is, so after all of this, how do you get away from toxic people? Is the question. And, there are a couple ways to actually get out of this. Um, you can actually change your environment. Now, what I mean by that, you can, let's take something that usually happens on a daily basis. Like, say you're in a business, a work environment, right? And your toxic person is Lisa at work. Oh my God, she's just terrible. And now, whatever Lisa does, say at the water cooler, she always knocks over your water, whatever it is, that sort of thing. Okay, bring your own water. Don't go to the water cooler.
Hmm. Yep. Stay away.
if you're into something, and I know there are some people out there, which is why I'm addressing this, if you are into drugs, because people, we have we could like them, the sober workday people, and then they have to drink every day after work. That's, that's a functional alcoholic. Alcohol is a drug. um, Change your environment, you know, go somewhere else, go to the gym, go to something that occupies you. That is really, really a great thing. It's really easy to help yourself if you're not there, because then after, your habits will change. It takes a while, but your habits will change. And then one more thing, you have to cut off all communications. And this is the hard part for a lot of people, because you've got your Facebook, you've got your Instagram, you got all these things, your cell phone. Um, and don't just not answer their calls. I mean, cut off communication. Like, take them out of your book, take them out, delete them completely. And you have to do these things. They say a habit forms in 3 weeks. So you have to do this for 21 days to form your new habits. What do you think?
Well, I think that we have a habit of trying to please everyone, especially as women, and that thinking is false. Um, I think that we need to show up as our best selves and support other people, but it doesn't mean that we sacrifice our well being. So, the hard part is that we have to be honest with ourselves and recognize those red flags. And what you said earlier was really important about, when other people are telling you things, when that chirping in your ear, it's almost like you go into this mode, you have to defend your friend or whoever it is that is potentially toxic. And you push those thoughts even further down. But truthfully, what I think we don't realize is that there is a codependency going on. And I think as I get older, I recognize it a lot sooner and I have more confidence in ridding myself of those people, but it's never easy. It gets easier. Boundaries are key. When you talk about cutting out entirely, that's also hard too, because then it creates a situation where they could go and start talking really bad about you. Oh, this person just completely cut me off for no reason. That's the narcissist talking. You have to be really comfortable with yourself that you're done with this person and you're not going to care what they say about you to other people, what they're going to do online.
And
And that,
I don't care.
well, Rome would be burning. I know you would care, but I think a lot of people would. They think, well, man, I'm worried this person's going to go and blacklist me online. They're going to tell my friends, but you have to be in a position to say, no, this is toxic no matter what. I don't care what they're going to do, and I'm out. That is a really hard decision to make for most people that aren't Vixen.
And you know what? That is something that takes a little getting used to. Um, and I think sometimes that comes with age, you know. So for the younger people that are listening to us, I mean, I think they have the benefit of knowing it's coming, but at least if they're younger, then at least to try, because it will benefit you in the end. If you have that knowledge, if you have that point of view, that is freedom. That is freedom to do exactly what you need to do and not care about it. You need to do what you need to do for you. And with that said, so what if that toxic person is a family member?
Whoa.
That is really hard. You just cut them out, right? Because they're still there. They're at the family reunion. They're at the Thanksgiving dinner. They're at, they keep, no matter how much you cut them off, they keep popping up. So here's what you do in that. First of all, you have to stop feeling glued to people because they're your blood relatives. Have you ever heard people say, you never loan money to family? Because family treats you different, even under the same exact circumstances. Family treats you different generally than they would other people. So there are things that family would do that you wouldn't do. So if you stop feeling obligated and glued to those people who are indeed your family, then they can go in that same category with those other people as far as cutting them off. I have a family member like that, who I have cut off from the phone. I cut off through, social media, um, family events. I I can walk right by you. Trust me when I tell you that. Um, so if you now there is an exception. There are some cultures where there are obligations that you have to fulfill, and there are consequences when you don't. So, in which case, you will have to weigh, because in some cultures, you do have to weigh, are you willing to take those consequences if you do that and you don't fulfill those obligations? Because there are some heavy consequences in some cultures. So, just a word for that. But generally speaking, other than that, I don't want you to, really suffer because of this. Um, Other than that, yeah, if you can understand and leave those family members as just people instead of family, then I think you'll be better off.
That is the toughest. I mean, especially if we're talking an immediate family member. I could say I've had toxic family members that were not immediate family. It was way easier to cut them off. Heck, that's one reunion I won't miss. But if it's a sibling or a parent, that's a lot harder. There is that sense of obligation. And hey, just deal with it because they're family attitude. Or hey, that's just how they are, you know. And this is not something that anyone can do, by the way, while they're still like living with these people while you're a child. It's not until you've grown up and you're away from that environment that you can actually start to see things for what they are when it comes to immediate family.
Now, this conversation, I will say, I am talking about adults.
Yes.
I am talking about adults. Now, if you are an adult and you're living with someone, this does apply. If you are a child and you are not in control of your environment, and your environment is really bad or toxic, you really should tell a teacher or someone that, if you need intervention. Because as a child, you don't have the rights and the strengths as you do as an adult. So if you're listening to this and you're like 15 or something like that, and something really bad is going on, you do need to tell someone. But as an adult, even if you're living with someone like, and they're an immediate person that you see all the time, you have that power to separate yourself. You have that power to remove yourself from that environment. You have the power to do these things that I'm talking about. Yes, it's difficult. It is difficult, and you do have to have a certain mindset to do it. But the fact that they are an immediate sibling, meaning like a sibling or a parent or immediate family, for me, that still makes no difference.
Well, and that's where, I mean, once you recognize it, you have to make a conscious decision to protect yourself. And while you may never be able to completely cut that person out of your life, you can set appropriate boundaries and stick to them. I mean, we talked about codependency earlier. Codependency at its finest at this stage is because you spent most of your life in this unhealthy relationship with this person. It's really hard to break that pattern, but it's something you have to do in order to get the most from your life. Toxic people, regardless of who they are, hold you back from being your best self. The sooner you recognize this, accept it, and make change, the sooner you realize it was one of the best decisions you've ever made. But it takes courage to do that.
It is very, it is very, it can be, I can say, it can be very difficult depending on the person, who it is, first of all, how much you love them, because sometimes that is the toughest love because you need to love yourself first. And sometimes we don't recognize that. We're putting, oh, like you said, we're putting the, well, that's just the way they are. And, well, that's just so and so, that's just them. But we're just tolerating that, not recognizing how it's affecting us.
But how many toxic families tolerate behavior like that and justify it by saying, oh, that's just who they are? And that's so it's supposed to be accepted that that person's an a-hole and that's okay. What's your problem? You're the one with the problem. it it
They
takes
don't,
courage.
it does. It does. I've seen that, again, when, this is a different friend, and this is when he was like a teenager. Well, not quite, I guess a preteen, where now back in the day, before you let your kid go somewhere, you kind of met with the parents and kind of got to know them a little bit. So I was at a potential friend for my son, and we were talking, the mother and I were talking on the couch, and I heard upstairs, a, she was a teenager, I think she was 16, slam the door and curse her mother out, say curse words. And yeah, like slam the door, like was angry. And you know what the mom told me? She said, oh, she's 16, that's how teenagers are.
Wow. Yeah, no.
No, that's not. No, 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 no. So
No, you
that again was not a friend that we went with because that is something, if my son or picks that up and brings that home, no, no, no.
no, nope, I'm with you. That's disrespectful. They obviously, if that's acceptable behavior to them, they're in the wrong family. They're going to have problems later. That's all I could say. I mean, I get it. Teenagers act out, but that's not. You just say, oh, there's teenagers. Ew.
Yeah, cultural obligations, though, cultural obligations can be really, really harsh, to the point where you can be shunned from families. It can be, in some cultures, it can be harsh. So you really do have to weigh those options, which is why I brought that up. And, you are supposed to do this. This is how it is.
Exactly. It's really hard to break free of that pattern. It takes strength and courage, but once you've done it once, it becomes a lot easier.
Yes, yes, and you do need to be prepared to do it. I believe in that situation,
Yeah.
knowing what's going to happen.
Let's talk about what we're seeing. So, I have all these young people on my team, and they love telling me all these filters on TikTok. And one was a red flag filter. So that was fun. I tried it out. I only wish it would have been a little more realistic by like actually pulling from my profile and updates that create something more in line with who I am. But really, it was just a random draw, whatever it felt like for fun. So I had to do it a few times to get something that was even closely relevant. And while most people would say that about recognizing their own red flags, I could say it wasn't until I tried the green flags, which were the good things, that I realized that this game was rigged. But it was all for fun and games. I played it. It's on my TikTok from yesterday. Red flag filters. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I really liked that last one that happened in the after I watched that. Yeah, I hadn't seen you do that, so
Ah,
I think I'm more likely to do that than you are. Honestly, I might do that. I might.
it was fun. I mean, it was not something I normally do. I like to, me, I like my data and making informed decisions. Some random luck of the draw red flag is not like, really? So, no. I probably won't be doing a filter like that again, but it was fun for
I
one
might
time.
try it though. I might
Yeah.
try the red fat. Remember, I don't really know how to do that, so I'm gonna work on that. And I've seen filters that I wanted to try, but I just mess it up every time.
That was just funny because you're like, I don't know how to do that. I'm sending you step by step. But what's funny was I was trying to do it, and I'm like, why is it just giving me a photo and not a video? I had to email Jessica on my team and say, what's going on? And then I'm like, wait. I figured it out. So you're not alone. We,
I just chalk it up. I'm like, yeah, I'm older. It's totally, it's me. Yeah, it's definitely me.
all right. Another thing that we're seeing. Okay. You know how much I am a reality TV junkie.
Yes.
I love reality TV. And it never really occurred to me why I love reality TV. I just love it. If it's on, I'm there with popcorn. I can't stop. And maybe it's this thing about like it's drama that's not going on in my life. So it's entertaining. When it's in your life, it's hell. But when it's somebody else's life, it's entertaining. Um, but the reality of reality shows, I think, is that most of these are based on toxicity and it brings drama and entertainment. And I think it even normalizes drama. And you're like, if an episode doesn't have tons and tons of drama and toxicity in it, this was a crappy episode. And I felt that Jersey Shore is my favorite one. Love Jersey Shore. I can't get enough of it. If the hairdresser and I we start talking about it, we can go on for days. And right now, we're in another kind of a season where they have this summer vacation where they have a lot of these different things, and they're bringing in cast members who used to date like years and years and years ago, and they don't even know that the other cast member is going to be on the show. Both of them left the show,
Oh,
and the relationship was toxic, obviously, during the time they were together. So, this is just like heating up what's going to happen here. You can't tell me the producers didn't stage that. I mean, I've read so many stories behind the scenes of reality TV shows, and they say they put you in these scenarios and they tell you what to talk about, all these things that will just get the juicy stuff flowing.
oh
Um,
yeah,
so it's not really reality, but it's
sort
still
of.
it's lives. It's still their lives. They still got to deal with this stuff every day.
Well, see, I'm okay with that because they get paid to have drama. See, in our lives, or in we're not. That's not part of our paycheck. There's no paycheck in having drama. So the least amount of drama is good, unless now these people volunteered to come on set getting paid to have the drama. So that's why I don't feel bad about that, about their drama, because I know they're getting paid, and in some cases, pretty handsomely
Oh,
to do this. So, yes. And I believe you're right in the fact where they give you like a subject matter or, that kind of thing. And they kind of do things on purpose to like push your buttons almost. And then they film it, whatever your reaction is. But you're right. The thing that brings people that negative and the toxicity um, is it's entertaining for it to be someone else. And, but you have to understand that it's good for actually to be on TV and not you so that you don't have to experience it.
yeah. Yep.
You can feel that drama in someone else's life and not experience it in your own. So that's kind of good. You're kind of getting out there, the adrenaline is running, but it's not yours. And you can turn it off.
Kind of like riding a roller coaster. You're not in any real danger. It's just that perceived feel. It's not really scary. You're going to be fine. But if you were like in a real fear situation, that's way different. So I can totally see that. I still love reality TV. And I hope that Sammy and Ron on Jersey Shore, I hope that they all end up okay. That's all I got to say there.
I think they'll be okay.
But I hope all of the youngsters watching these shows are not thinking that this type of behavior is normal. This is not normal.
I do think that they understand that it's a television show and not
Reality.
the first reality shows were daytime TV.
True.
You know, years and years, forever and ever have been on, and people actually did get attached to the characters.
Yeah.
Like when they saw the people in person, they really think that that's them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that was a thing. So, but I don't think they do that with reality TV. I think they recognize that it is their lives, but they are, you know, on a television show.
But everybody kind of resonates with somebody on a reality TV show. You know, you're always pulling for somebody or you know somebody. Well, we're coming to the end of our podcast here. Vixen, is there anything you'd like to add on this topic?
You know what? I think we covered it pretty thoroughly with the time that we have, because we could go on about this. But I just want people to realize that the toxicity may come to you a little bit and a little bit at a time. The more you stay there, the more you stay in that situation, the worse it's going to get. So when someone whispers in your ear, hey, you know what? Something isn't right about Louise or whoever it is. You need to not dismiss that. You need to take a step back and have a look and see what's really happening. And then you can decipher if that person is just being mean or if there's really a problem, because you're not usually going to see the problem yourself.
Very, very true. Listen to other people, listen to your intuition too. I think, okay, so this is a podcast for women, and you know, it occurred to me, you know, are toxic relationships kind of isolated to women? So I did a little research, and I found out that 84% of women and 75% of men report having a toxic friend at some point in their lives. So this means this is not isolated to women. However, since this is a podcast for women, if you want more information on having a healthy relationship with other women, check out episode 7 called Navigating Female Friendships of our podcast. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Light Her Project podcast. You can always follow the conversation online with our hashtag. In the meantime, keep it real. Real women.
Real talk.